Hi, folks. Today's episode brought to you by my favorite sponsor. That is sunsetlakesabade.com. And of course, I am covering up the coupon code. Why am I doing that?
The air of mystery.
Yes, you're going to have to wait and find out because our friends at Sunset Lake, they know it is not always easy to feel thankful these days. So they wanted to extend their thanks to this show, to our amazing listeners, and of course for Brian for keeping them, for basically keeping them their lifted tea in a volume business.
I want to in on that IPO when it happens.
Exactly. Holidays are coming up, less daylight, colder temperatures, and of course, a little extra stress on top of the already highly stressful year that we've been going through. And so Sunset Lake has a special surprise for you. 30% off at sunsetlakesabade.com on all their products. All you got to do is use the coupon code Friday25. That's Friday25, the word Friday, and the numbers 2 and 5, no spaces. They got everything you need. They've got tinctures that help you sleep, tinctures that help you relax, tinctures that help your dogs relax. They've got gummies to help you sleep, gummies to help you relax, gummies with a little THC to help you have a little fun during the, let's put it this way. There are worse things you can do than sit down at Thanksgiving meal with your relatives and have had a couple of those.
Right. And you don't have to go for a walk with your cousin. You can just pop one of these and it's very subtle.
Let's hope your folks aren't listening, Emma.
I mean, this is a trope, not something I would ever do.
Yeah, you can do a cousin walk with Sunset Lake.
You can actually, because they also have smokables, and you can mix that smokables in with some other smokables. But they got keef, they got pre-rolls, they've got Sunset Lake fudge and with Sebade and coffee with Sebade. They've got lotions and creams. Saul's been using. He had. I don't want to tell too many stories, but he had a rash. I think he has some of that eczema. And we tried all sorts of things. And it was the unscented Sunset Lake hydration lotion that did it for him. But they've got salves, all around great products, all grown without pesticides, all grown with great farming practices, regenerative farming, and great business practices, mostly employee owned, $20 minimum wage when they pay, during the harvest season. And of course, these are great political movement partners, donated tens of thousands of dollars to things like strike relief funds and Planned Parenthood and carceral reform, refugee resettlement. They just gave $5,000 to celebrate this sale to Vermont Food Bank. So check it out, sunsetlakesabade.com. Not only are they a great company, but it's a great product too. Check them out. And now time for the show. Oh, again, that is Friday25 is the code. Look for the information in the podcast and YouTube description. And if you spend more than $100, they give you, or $125, they give you a free 750 milliliter tincture. Okay, bye-bye.
The Majority Report with Sam Seder, where every day's Casual Friday. That means Monday is Casual Monday. Tuesday, Casual Tuesday. Wednesday, Casual Hump Day. Thursday, Casual Thurs. That's what we call it. And Friday, Casual Shabbat. The Majority Report with Sam Seder.
It is Friday, November 21st, 2025. My name is Sam Seder. This is the 5-time award-winning Majority Report. We are broadcasting live steps from the industrially ravaged Gowanus Canal in the heartland of America, downtown Brooklyn, USA. On the program today, Zelensky meets with European leaders over Trump's U.S. peace plan / giveaway to Russia. Also on the program today, Trump threatens Dems with a death penalty over the release of a video saying Don't forget, your oath is to the Constitution. A U.S. federal district judge orders an end to the National Guard deployment in D.C. Unemployment rate, to the extent that we really know it, edges up. But worse than that, job losses were in manufacturing, and gains only came in 2 sectors. Healthcare, and what was the second one? I can't remember. We'll be back to that in a moment. Coast Guard no longer to classify swastikas and nooses as hate symbols.
What?
Yeah. Comey indictment falls apart as incompetence dominates Trump's DOJ. RFK Jr.'s supporters are relaunching his political party, perhaps for a potential run in 2028. Larry Summers goes on leave from Harvard. He tried to weather the storm.
I can't believe he was still there.
Yep.
I am not
Eric
going to the
Swalwell.
Bahamas.
I'm not going to an island. Just Eric Swalwell declares for California governor, and Justice Dems Avila Chevalier, I know that's not how you pronounce your name, to challenge New York 13th's Espion. Didn't say that right either. All this and more on today's Majority Report. It's Casual Friday, folks. I'm a little thrown off, and I think you'll see why. This is why.
Because we're matching.
We're matching.
We're matching today. I love when that happens.
The truth is, Emma and I are going to get show pictures done at Sears today. And so we decided that we're all going to be wearing, Brian and Matt are also going to be wearing shirts like this, but we're switching into turtlenecks. So
We'll have lasers behind us in the
I'm
backdrop.
searching nearest Sears because I don't know if I think most of those are closed down.
have they closed them down?
We may have to carpool out to New Jersey for these photos, obviously.
Yeah, well, we'll go. I mean, do they have them now at Walmart? You can do it at Walmart, right?
Yeah.
You can get the group photos there.
Yeah.
There's
Great.
not a Walmart here either. There's no Walmart within.
Well, we'll go out to New
25
Jersey.
Right, we're leaving to get our photos done, not in New York where there's a lot of photographers and artists. We're going to go to my home state, my home turf of New Jersey.
Do you think we're going to go in and there's going to be some artists who are going to be like, oh, I'm glad you guys are all wearing the same blue long sleeve shirts because that way I don't have to use mine.
Yeah, I think we're set up well today.
I mentioned at the top of the show that just seconds ago, that the job numbers are sort of released. The job numbers for September were released. We are still waiting for job numbers for October. And they're not going to release those until next month, which means that it's going to be after the Federal Reserve meets for potential rate cuts. Now, they have signaled, as far as I know, the Federal Reserve has signaled that they may not be cutting rates. People were anticipating it. That's supposedly why the stock markets went down yesterday. The hiring in September was higher than people had imagined. I think people are anticipating that there would be 71,000, or I should say closer to like 60,000 jobs in September. We have averaged 71,000 jobs for 2025 at this point. And you should be aware that just population growth means that we're actually shedding jobs in those instances. 119,000 jobs in September. However, numbers for the previous 2 months in July and August were recalculated down 33,000 jobs. Now, we were told by the Trump administration that is indication of like some type of shenanigans. It's not.
Right.
We've explained this in the past that you get estimates for the first initial job numbers, and they get readjusted as you go forward. This is to give people a sense of where the economy is at any given time. However, the 119 was better than thought. And again, it's quite possible those will get revised down as we go further on into the year. But those jobs came from largely the healthcare industry and bars and restaurants, adding 37,000 jobs, 43,000 for the healthcare industry. And we have talked about this in the past, that the economy right now, and I think largely because of wealth disparity, and which is also sort of like somewhat tracking to age to some extent, but the wealth disparity is off the charts. The problem is that two sectors gaining jobs and everywhere else basically not shedding jobs, net anyways, is a problem. Transportation and warehousing lost 25,000 jobs. Manufacturing lost 6,000 jobs. Temporary help services lost 16,000 jobs. And the reason why that's problematic is if your business is building, the first thing you do, not always, but what businesses tend to do is they'll hire temp jobs before they make these full-time jobs because they're expanding. If they're shedding those, that means that they are contracting. That sector is now as small as it's been since 2012. So what we're really getting from this is a sense that things are beginning to decline, except for areas where people age. So there's going to be more healthcare jobs. And bars and restaurants may be expanding a little bit, could be seasonal. But again, these are not necessarily, these can be indicative of these two sort of dual tracks of the economy that are taking place. It is, again, the equivalent of like, if you use average, if you have two people in a room and you want to get a sense of like, how wealthy are they? If you use average, it's a problem as a metric, because I could be in a room with Bill Gates and we would both look like billionaires if we look at the average. The problem is that many of our economic indicators, GDP and others, are being buoyed by really, really wealthy people spending ungodly amounts of money, but it's not necessarily indicative of what's and that money is getting just churned within a very narrow band of our population. And so it's a problem. UPS, Amazon have started to shed jobs and are replacing them with AI or with robots, or just pulling back because their business is not as big. Job openings, as measured by the job search website Indeed, which of course, you know, it's again, take it with a grain of salt. We just don't have the data, have reached their lowest level in 4 years. So 4 years ago was, we were still sort of like coming out of COVID. I should also just make a little note. When I say that, I'm not talking about the existence of the virus. What I am talking about is the shutdown. I mentioned this the other day in the context of education, and someone was sent an email, said they were upset because I was ignoring the fact that COVID's still around and the implications of long COVID here. What I was talking about specifically was there was an extended period of time where a lot of students were out of class, and it obviously hurt them. You're not sitting in class. And so I was talking about that. The unemployment rate for workers between ages 20 and 24 is 9.2%, the highest it's been since 2015. across all age groups, the number of people working part-time who would rather work full-time has been drifting up. There's a lot of concern in these numbers. The problem is, I think that investors are also convinced that inflation is going to be a problem. And so the Fed is sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
Their job is to try and shore up employment numbers, but also to contain inflation. And
it looks like we are in prime conditions for stagflation as well, which is what they're concerned about. And the fact that in terms of we played to start the show yesterday, Trump once again musing about wanting to fire Jerome Powell because he's maybe considering not lowering rates in this upcoming meeting, which might be today. In part of the problem is that because the administration, because of these jobs numbers being withheld for a while, they don't have the information necessary also to understand the full economic picture.
Here is Fox News reporting on what these economic woes are doing to Donald Trump's numbers. This is Fox News, folks. And so just so you know, it's very hard for these bad numbers to, it's rare when Fox will report this type of stuff.
And they couch it even a little here, I feel like.
But the issue of affordability, the issue of how people feel about the economy popping up in our latest polls, personal financial situation now, excellent, good, 40%, only fair or poor, 60%. You can see that changing from July. Condition of the U.S. economy, also a perception totally upside down, 76 to 25, and that changing a bit. And then economic conditions for the nation and you personally, again, 25% positive, 76 negative for the nation.
Pause it for a second. Now, this is really interesting because a lot of times you will see a much greater disparity between what people think it is for the nation, what it is personally. Mm-hmm. In fact, a year ago, I'm quite convinced that these numbers, there would be far greater disparity. Never mind the positive negative, differential, which I think would have been somewhat similar in 2024. But the difference between this is impacting me negatively personally versus this is impacting the nation negatively was far greater than 16 points. People generally, they'll see, and what's also surprising about this, or I should say maybe perhaps not unsurprising, is that we have not seen the blitzkrieg of media attention on the economy like we did in the run-up to the 2024 election. Now, part of that is because it's a run-up to an election, right, and it becomes much more salient. But we have not heard as much about the stumbling in the economy as we did then. And so people are just talking about what they are actually feeling. 60% of the country is personally saying that things are negative. And then they're looking around at their friends or what meager amounts of news media coverage they're seeing about the economy and going like, ooh. So this is pretty damaging stuff.
It is the lowest approval that Trump has ever had on the economy ever recorded in this Fox poll, 38%.
And just this, unlike other things on what's your opinion, how economic conditions are for the nation is an opinion more often than not. But how it's impacting you personally is an indication of not just like what your opinion is, but right, what your material situation feels like. So that's pretty good. Let's play this one. Here's Harry Enton on inflation and approval just from this morning. Again, when Fox is putting out these polls, you've got a problem. I guess he's only going to now go on, what is it? What's left now?
One Nation. What is it called?
One America News, or I don't know. Here's Harry Emden.
Yeah, John Berman. I would say this is probably the worst 10-day period for the president in the polls his entire second term. The numbers are just atrocious. What are we talking about here in terms of net approval rating? Well, take a look. These are all November polls. The best one of the group puts him at 14 points underwater. That's the Marquette University Law School poll, tied for the worst he's ever had in that poll. Fox, 17 points underwater. Maris, 17 points underwater. The Reuters Ipsos poll, 22 points underwater. And then taking the cake, the AP North poll, 26 points underwater. When your best poll has you still 14 points underwater, you know it's truly bad, and it's as bad as 26 points underwater. We're talking about an average well underwater with the deep blue sea, swimming with the fishes.
And now this is all parties here. If
Yeah, keep going, keep going.
you think this is bad, Harry.
If you think this is bad, what is driving these horrific numbers for Donald Trump? Well, why don't we take a look at independents, Trump's net approval rating with independents. Back in January, he was close to even. He was at -4 points. Not great, but not terrible. Look at this number, 43 points underwater with independents in the most recent average of these polls. When you have 43 points underwater with independents, you know you're doing terribly. You can't win with this. If this holds for next year's midterm election, wave adios, amigos. Goodbye. See you later to that House Republican majority and that Senate Republican majority very much in danger as well. When you take a look at the Pew Research validated voter survey going back to last year, he was basically even among independents with Kamala Harris. Now he is 43 points underwater. Whatever he is doing with independents, it ain't working. They despise him at this point.
That is just a colossal drop.
Oh, my God. It's a
in
40-point
10 months.
move.
Okay, that's a...
Oh my gosh. You want to do the inflation part?
We can do the inflation part, but you have to ask yourself, what is that? Like what is, and I don't know, you know, maybe we'll have a chance to look at some of like the
Well, in
the internals in that poll, but
Yeah.
that it would be that this bad right now, I would imagine, is a function in part of what we're seeing with the immigration stuff and how people are experiencing that. And the government shutdown.
And healthcare and Epstein.
Yeah. Well,
And
I just want
healthcare and
to
Epstein.
I want to correct myself just that the meeting is not, I guess it's in December for the Fed, just so people know. But the Fox poll does have a good sense. They asked on 6 different issue sets how people approve or disapprove. And the only issue that they asked about that he has or above 50 approval on is border security. But then when you go to immigration, to your point, he's underwater there now. 53% disapprove to 46%. 55% approve of his foreign policy to 43%. And a lot of that is buoyed by the fact that he was able to, at the very least, get a ceasefire that Israel's repeatedly breaking, but in Gaza for a little while. And then he's over 60% disapproval on the economy, tariffs, and healthcare. And I'd imagine that is when people are starting to also think about their premiums, and you've got 20 million people with the subsidies from the ACA that are looking down the road, that's tied into just the cost of living as well. So it's really, I would imagine, people's wallets that's driving this.
3 or 4 weeks away from those subsidies, the lack of subsidies being locked in, and it seems like the Senate is running out of time to do anything about it, and it doesn't look like they're going to. Trump is telling them not to. And so that's where we're at this point. But let's just look at the inflation numbers, and then we'll continue on. Now, this is the idea that the Senate could be in play is really, in many respects, nuts. But here is the thing that Democrats need to keep in mind. If you want to hold these things for more than 2 years, if you want to hold the House for more than 2 years or more than 2 years after 2028, you need to have an actual plan. You cannot let's put it this way. The Republicans cannot step on the rake if they don't have the rake. And when Democrats are in power, the Republicans don't have the rake anymore. Democrats there is they have to do more than Republicans, because that's the whole point of Democrats. Theoretically, the difference between Democrats and Republicans. And right now, the healthcare stuff is a complete disaster. And 10 years later, 12 years later, we now see the fundamental weakness of the ACA. And that is, it did not control costs in the way that it should have. A. B, those people who are influenced by the ACA, and I'm not talking the patient protection part of the bill, and I'm not talking about the expansion of Medicaid, is a narrow set of people in this country. And so if we're really going to deal with health insurance in this country, you need to present some form of single payer plan.
And on the patient protection part, I just think it's important to note that, like, while the ACA was really important with the pre-existing conditions piece and protecting people from that, we saw how health insurance companies were able to find other ways to deny care in the years that followed. And so it's not comprehensive enough, because they make money by denying you care. That is the incentive. And that's the reason that this middleman needs to be cut out.
All right, let's just look a little bit at the inflation numbers, and then let's.
Political groups here. How about what issues may be driving this?
Okay, yeah. So we say that independents are driving Trump's decline overall, but what is pushing independents and the rest of the electorate away from Donald Trump? Away from Donald Trump. John Berman, move out of this screen. Away from Donald Trump. Well, it has everything to do with inflation. It's the cost of living, baby. That is the name of the game. You go back to January, he was 3 points above water. This was the reason why that voters gave him a second term. You look at this. Look at this. Now, 34 points underwater. My goodness gracious, that is a 37-point move in the wrong direction.
All right. I mean, inflation, if people, one of the things the Fed could do to fight inflation, if that were a concern, is they would raise interest rates right now. Right now, there's been an issue of whether they'll cut them or lower them after the mixed jobs report yesterday. What do the prediction markets say now?
Yeah, okay, so Donald Trump has been pushing. And you know what? The chance that the Fed Reserve in December cuts interest rates now up to 70%, because one of the Fed Reserve members said essentially there was still room for cuts. This will be welcome news for Donald Trump. Whether it ultimately, though, gets at its true problem, which in my opinion is the cost of living, I think a lot of economists would disagree that it would. But
So, I mean, that's the dilemma from the Fed's perspective. I don't necessarily think that a Fed rate cut is going to necessarily spur more inflation. I think, frankly, the immigration stuff that's happening, the tariffs and the uncertainty creates an environment where I think a lot of corporations either are forced to raise prices or see an opportunity to raise prices and walk away with more profits.
Exactly.
I mean, it's hard for me to imagine that a 0.25% cut is going to, spur that much more economic activity in this environment where everybody's just like, I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah. I mean,
but we'll see.
We'll see. But we saw the lessons that these corporations took from the pandemic, which is that we can
get away with it. We can
get away with whatever we want. Yep. And Trump is giving them every excuse, even if he rescinds these tariffs. What are they going to use as the excuse this time?
Couple of words from our sponsors. If you're dealing with hair issues, maybe it's thinning, maybe it's shedding. That's the problem. It's the shedding, and then you don't get it growing back, and that's where you get the thinning. But you're not sure what to do next. I totally get it. I've been there. Actually, I didn't really spend that much time there, I got to be honest, because we had Nutrafol in the office, and it was sort of more of like a lark. People know the backstory why we had in the office. They wanted to sponsor the program. They wanted us to try it out. At the time, nobody was interested. I had it in the office. I'm like, I'm starting to feel like I'm starting to thin a little bit up top, not so much around the gut. And so I tried it because I didn't want to take, drugs, Nutrafol is the number one dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement. So I figured, why not? And I will tell you, it's not just hype. It's physician formulated. It is clinically tested. And like I say, even recommended by dermatologists. You can feel great about what you're putting into your body since Nutrafol hair growth supplements are backed by peer-reviewed studies and NSF Content Certified, which is the gold standard and third-party certification for supplements. It's trusted by over 1.5 million people. And part of that reason is that many supplements will rely only on ingredient studies. Nutrafol clinically tests its final formulations, and to ensure their efficacy, they use a bunch of hair measurement tools, hair counts, pull tests to assess growth and quality and shedding and texture. Super easy to add Nutrafol to your daily routine. You can see thicker, stronger, faster growing hair with less shedding in 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol offering you $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com. Enter the promo code TMR10. That's the letters TMR and the number 10. No spaces. Find out why Nutrafol is the best-selling hair growth supplement brand at Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com. Promo code TMR10. That's Nutrafol.com. Promo code TMR10. Description in the podcast and YouTube. I should say links in the podcast and YouTube description. Emma, OneSkin.
Yes, I would like to thank OneSkin for sponsoring today's episode. If you are like me, your skin needs some extra care this time of year between colder weather and the holidays fast approaching, and, you know, in the summer, sometimes I like to lay out and I need to recover in the wintered months. That's why I have continued to rely on OneSkin. I've talked about this before. I love the OS1 Face, the OS1 Eye. It's been invaluable in my daily routine, and it delivers a powerful skincare benefits, powerful longevity benefits, all in just a few simple steps. I love the texture of the cream. I love the fact that the eye cream in particular is lighter, and also sometimes eye cream can cause like tingling for me. The skin around my eyes can be a little bit sensitive, but not with OneSkin.
Tingling?
Yeah.
All right.
Skin around your eyes is a little more sensitive than other areas because it's just like kind of baby skin. And I really love how OneSkin's eye cream feels in particular. I wanted just a little bit more brightness, some more clarity, the ability to like recover a little bit from some sun damage, and OneSkin has been excellent so far on that front. At the core is their patented OS1 peptide, the first ingredient proven to target senescent cells, the root cause of wrinkles, crepiness, that's how you say it, right? And loss of elasticity, which are all key signs of skin aging. And these results have now been validated in 5 different clinical studies. I've been getting some compliments recently on my skin, shockingly. I think it was Francesca Fiorentini, a friend of the show, when I was out in LA saying, "Oh, your skin looks nice." And I said, "Thank you, my friend."
Julie's loving that stuff.
Yes. She's been telling me too. And so OneSkin has been a huge part of that. OneSkin also just launched their limited edition holiday sets, including the Nightly Rewind gift set, which is one of those rare gifts that's both impressive and genuinely useful, providing an upgrade to anyone's nightly routine, featuring their best-selling face moisturizer, their new peptide lip mask, and a cool gua sha tool. Each component of the set is designed to work together as your body enters its natural nightly repair mode, helping renew skin at the cellular level for a stronger, smoother, more resilient skin. And that limited edition holiday set is pretty awesome if you want to give it as a gift. This season, don't just moisturize, support your skin at the cellular level with OneSkin. For a limited time, try OneSkin for 15% off using code MAJORITY at oneskin.co/majority. That's 15% off at oneskin.co/majority with code MAJORITY. After you purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please help us and tell them the Majority Reports sent you. Try OneSkin today, and we will have a link down below in the video episode description and also at majority.fm. Get 15% off OneSkin with the code MAJORITY at www.oneskin.co/majority.
www.
Yeah. You ever
So
heard
it's
of it?
on the World Wide Web.
It's on the World Wide
Okay.
Web. That's
I just
where you
wanted to
can
make
find
sure
it.
that that was
Yes.
the case.
Yeah.
Lastly, we got one other sponsor. This is like a life hack. I know gift giving is, I mean, frankly, it's horrible. Nobody likes to do it.
No.
I
like to do it.
Fox News says you shouldn't even do it.
Yeah.
I've got the greatest gift to give. And I gave this to my girlfriend's family, and I was all of a sudden like a hero. Aura frames. They are literally like the cheat code for winning the holidays. Super personal, super easy to give, and something they will literally use every day. I'm talking your grandparents. I'm talking your parents. I'm talking your aunts, your uncles, your cousins, your kids. It doesn't matter. It works for everybody. Aura frames are digital frames. They give you unlimited free photo and video. All you got to do is you download the Aura app. It's super easy to use. You connect to Wi-Fi, obviously. You can upload all these pictures. There is a gift box included for every frame. So you're already there. And here's the thing. You can order it. You can preload the photos on it from afar. Do you understand what I'm saying here? You don't have to even see it. You order it. You get the code that the box is. It goes to grandma's house. It goes to your folks' house. It goes to whatever. Or you could bring it in person, of course, too.
You don't even got to open it.
You don't open it. You don't. It's all wrapped in plastic still. And you can upload the photos. So when they plug it in and they connect to Wi-Fi, and it's super easy to connect to Wi-Fi too, the photos are there. Photos and videos. And with sound. Super easy. People love this. And you've got 12 kids in your family. Okay, you give it to your parents. All 12 kids can get an app and feed it in there. And then then it becomes a war. Who's going to put more photos on there? Whose photos does mom and dad like more?
Yeah.
That's basically what happens. But that's like everything at the holidays, I feel like. Don't wait. Win the holidays right now with Aura Frames. For a limited time, visit auraframes.com. Get $45 off of Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames, named #1 by Wirecutter. Use the promo code MAJORITY at checkout. That's AURA frames.com, promo code MAJORITY. This is an exclusive Black Friday, Cyber Monday deal. Is their best of the year, so order now before it ends. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. I'm telling you. You will win it. We'll put the link in the podcast and YouTube descriptions. All right, let's go to this. I have mixed feelings about this because I found the video itself a little bit tedious. I don't know why you need to be a former military or a former CIA agent to say that you should follow the Constitution.
You sit this one out. You don't understand. As a vet, you just don't understand.
I don't get it.
Patriots are in control.
But
I like the idea of Brian being interspersed in this video for some reason. It's like 8 Democratic lawmakers and Brian being like, you don't have to follow orders that
My
you
fellow
don't agree
constituents,
with.
I want to remind you.
The flag is upside down.
It's me, Senator Alyssa Slotkin, and me, Brian Vokey.
This Brian.
me, Brian, I didn't.
I've never heard a title.
Oppositional defiance disorder is not just is patriotic.
You can weaponize it in both directions.
Exactly. But the point still remains, despite the fact that I have a little bit of icky, ooey feeling in this video on some level, because, of course, they banded together with fellow vets and fellow vets of intelligence. But the point being, and maybe there's National Guardsmen out there. Maybe there are national security people who would be moved by this more than they would if I was to say it.
Mm-hmm.
But we are there is certainly a legitimate concern over the course of the next, I have a concern over the course of the next 11 to 12 months that in their desperation to hold on to power, the Trump administration is going to do some stuff that is extra constitutional, as it were. And so these people put out this video as a way of basically starting to get the conversation in there. I mean, look, we are on the precipice of having to watch whether federal agents or National Guardsmen will cross a line and say, hey, wait, this is not cool. But here, watch.
I'm Senator Alyssa Slotkin.
Senator Mark Kelly.
Representative Chris DeLuzio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow. I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy.
Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer.
Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
and the intelligence community
who take risks each day
to keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
and intelligence community professionals
against American citizens. Like us, you all swore an oath
to protect and defend this Constitution.
And right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad,
but from right here at home. Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law
or our Constitution.
We know this is hard and that it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
But whether you're serving in the CIA,
the Army,
or Navy,
the Air Force,
your vigilance is critical.
And know that we have your back.
Because now, more than ever,
the American people need you.
We need you to stand up for our laws,
our Constitution,
and who we are as Americans. Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up the ship.
Now, we just had a federal court say that Donald Trump's deployment of the National Guard for mundane crime fighting in Washington, D.C. is illegal and has enjoined them from doing it. Now, I don't know if it's going to get turned over or not. But when Donald Trump is training squads, 500 National Guardsmen per state as a rapid deployment force, there's reason to be a little bit on alert and concerned.
Yes. I mean, well, a silly point is I like how twice in a row it was like Kelly then Slotkin who said you can refuse illegal orders, and then they cut to Jason Crow saying you must do it. You must refuse illegal orders. It's just maybe they have a little CIA military
like Clockwork
brainwashing.
Orange.
I know. And then Brian comes on. You will refuse illegal orders.
You already have.
It's like it's the parallax view of footage.
But I actually think it's somewhat important in the sense that, like, we've been saying this, I think, for a little bit, is that the Democrats have to probably remind some of these people that there's a chance they're back in power at some point. And, like, if you have an off-ramp, if you think an order is illegal, like, we can protect you. It's kind of the reverse of what we're seeing from Pritzker, is like, we will prosecute you if you violate these laws. Don't think this is forever.
Right. The idea that there's some accountability out there, and if this is a way of basically sort of laying down a marker and saying there is a line that you can cross, we're aware of it, and if you're going to do this, you better hope that the Republicans are in power forever and ever. Here is Donald Trump responding on Truth Out. Now, Washington Examiner writes, Democratic veterans in Congress urge service members to refuse unspecified unlawful orders. Now, this is worded in such a way as if it's like saying specifically refuse orders, as opposed to Democratic veterans in Congress remind service members to refuse to follow unlawful orders.
Yeah, your oath is to the Constitution.
Exactly, which is a fairly more sort of like mundane but important and not coincidental in terms of this era Donald Trump says, this is really bad. Now, for some reason, bad is not capitalized, but dangerous is. So this is really bad,
It's more dangerous than bad.
comma, and dangerous to our country. Their words cannot be allowed to stand. Again, remember the words are, do not follow illegal orders. Keep going. Seditious behavior from traitors. Lock them up? Question mark? Question mark? Question mark? Question mark? President DJT. And then is there
illiterate. It's so funny.
Well, I mean, it's.
Is there more? Didn't he do two? Yeah. Okay.
Epstein also would have a bunch of errors in his thing, and people say it's a power move, but for Trump, it's just idiocy.
So then
They're idiots. They're powerful idiots.
Yeah.
That's what a powerful move.
now, so
Isn't that
then
Schultz
some
podcast?
guy whose avatar is like I
believe that's Iron Cross.
Yeah, Iron Cross.
That's the thing that made me stop
Crusade
wearing my
thing?
Motorhead T-shirt
Right,
about
okay.
10 years ago.
And they reply, hang them, George Washington Wood. And Donald Trump retruthed it.
Yeah.
Now, first off, I don't have any explanation why Iron Cross would be speaking like Yoda. Hang them, George Washington Wood. Nice.
Wait, do it again.
Go do that.
I was feeling it.
That was good, Brian.
George Washington would.
Yes.
And then Trump again says, put this up here, seditious behavior punishable by death.
So Steve Miller's in the room.
Yes. Steve Miller is like, you're on to something.
Spitting.
And look, as a political matter, this is a good way for Trump to get a little bit of distraction from the crap show that he has been involved in over the past couple of days. I don't think it's going to work. It really just entertains people, largely, it seems like. But Caroline Leavitt was asked about this, and they are purposefully conflating a couple of things in terms of the Supreme Court, what the Supreme Court ruled while Donald Trump was out of office, which is that the president has immunity from anything he does, criminal prosecution of anything he does, as long as he does it as part of his official duties as president. Which is not to say that the orders it's impossible for him to issue illegal orders. It just means to say that even though it's illegal, he is protected from prosecution. But the people who respond to those illegal orders and the illegality of those orders still exists. It just means he can't be held accountable.
Right.
And it means that if you follow it, you will be. But here, Caroline Leavitt tries to sort of muddy the waters
With
there.
her machine gun lips.
Yeah, I love the way she
Great
moves
lips,
those
great
lips.
They are literally saying to 1.3 million active duty service members not to defy the chain of command, not to follow lawful orders. Every single...
Pause it for a second. We just watched it, and they literally said, don't follow unlawful orders. But she's going to try and make the argument that there's no such thing.
But even her making that slip, she knows that if she says they're supposed to just follow orders, everyone's alarm would go off. So she has to put lawful in there.
Right. Well, and also, but the premise of her argument also is just the Nixonian. If the president does it, that means it's not illegal, right? Any order he issues by definition cannot be. And so that was a national scandal back in the day. Now it's just modus operandi.
And active duty service members not to defy the chain of command, not to follow lawful orders. Every single
illegal order, which
but they're suggesting, Nancy, that the president has given illegal orders, which he has not. Every single order that is given to this United States military by this commander-in-chief and through this chain of command, through the Secretary of War, is lawful. And the courts have proven that. This administration has an unparalleled record at the Supreme Court because we are following the laws. We don't defy court orders. We do things by the books. And to suggest and encourage that active duty service members defy the chain of command is a very dangerous thing for sitting members of Congress to do. And they should be held accountable. And that's what the president wants to see. They are literally
Hung
saying
accountable.
to 1.3.
Hung
So-
accountable, more like.
I mean, they're really having to dance around this, but and it's unclear. Like, you know, I don't know if Donald Trump does anything other than just sort of react like with his lizard brain, and then we just watch the backfilling by everybody around him to sort of justify what he does. They have the benefit of having absolutely no shame. So it may often come off of like, wow, the fact that she could get up there and try and justify this and tell these lies is sort of indicative. They must have gotten together and planned this out and done that. But it's really just an absence of shame, because that's when professionals get out there and lie like this, it's that they are aware that everybody's going to know that they're lying, and it makes it harder for them to do it. It's just sort of like a human reaction. But these people have so little shame that that's not there anymore. And that's why they're able to do what they do. It really is just, at the end of the day, a certain amount of shame. And I think just sort of like they live in a different ecosystem where if it doesn't matter what you have to do to get past this certain, just move the chains, essentially, as you march down the field is really the only agenda they have.
I mean, I don't want to also like trivialize it too much. I mean, I think Slotkin is by far my favorite Democrat, but she is apparently now has 24/7 security from Capitol Police because of this. Like Capitol Police having to protect these lawmakers from the president and from the actions that he takes and like what he inspires, the death threats that she's gonna get. I mean, we saw how the January 6th rioters reacted to Donald Trump's words. I mean, the way that they stormed into Nancy Pelosi's office, they defecate on her desk. Yeah. And the AOC was literally thought she might be sexually assaulted, was hiding in the Capitol. And this is because of the rhetoric of Donald Trump. So it's easy to be blasé about it. It's easy to be used to it. But this kind of leadership does matter. And this has deleterious effects that can end up in violence.
I mean, she's from a state, Slotkin
right.
is, where wasn't the governor almost
yes.
kidnapped?
Subject to a kidnapping plot, yeah. Right? So that there needs to be people have no shame or responsibility anymore, but this is going to have an impact in some way or another.
Now, the flip side of all this is that there is just a tremendous amount of incompetence by the Trump administration in everything they do. I mean, if you're going to have your country subject to a fascist takeover, may your fascists be as stupid and as incompetent as the ones we have. That will be the saving grace. As you know, Donald Trump pushed for Texas gerrymandering. And this started off a gerrymander war, essentially. And the idea was he's so desperate to maintain the House at the midterms, knowing that it's going to be tough to keep control of the House. Right now, they have, a 3-vote margin?
I think so.
They wanted Texas to gerrymander to pick up 5-6 seats, I think it was, maybe 5. More. And this started off a gerrymander war, and there was a lot more opportunities for Republicans to gerrymander across the country because most Democratic states had already passed laws saying that we're only going to do independent commissions to draw lines because we want to keep it relatively fair. They could have gotten away with this in Texas, and they still very well may, but it's going to be a lot more difficult because the way that the Trump administration did this, they made these Texas gerrymander maps completely racialized. And it's literally the one thing they shouldn't have done if they wanted this to stand. The DOJ sent a letter. I'm reading now from the decision issued by the judge in this case. It was a couple of days ago, but this is worth hearing some of this language. DOJ sent a letter to the governor and attorney general of Texas making the legally incorrect assertion that 4 congressional districts in Texas were unconstitutional because they were coalition districts, majority non-white districts in which no single racial group constituted a 50% majority. In the letter, the DOJ threatened legal action if Texas didn't immediately dismantle and redraw these districts, a threat based entirely on their racial makeup. Notably, the DOJ letter targeted only majority non-white districts. So this is from the first couple of paragraphs of the decision. The public perception of this case is that it's about politics. Oh, we should say at the top of the introduction, there's a quote that the trial judge wrote, or I should say circuit judge wrote. The way to stop discrimination on the basis of race is to stop discriminating on the basis of race. This is a quote from Chief Justice John Roberts. Now, this is a quote that he used in dismantling the Voting Rights Act by saying, like, you should be colorblind. And that's the way you end racism, is just pretend like it hasn't existed up until this moment and just keep pretending like that's not there.
But using his own words against him is a really interesting choice by this 3-judge panel, or the 2 judges but one I think was a Biden appointee, one maybe was
a Trump appointee.
Oh, the one was a Trump appointee.
Yep.
Okay, there you go.
And so using John Roberts' own words, the public perception of this case is that it's about politics. To be sure, politics played a role in drawing the 2025 map. But it's much more than just politics. Substantial evidence shows that Texas racially gerrymandered the 2025 map. Here's why. Earlier this year, President Trump began urging Texas to redraw its U.S. House map to create 5 additional Republican seats. Lawmakers reportedly met that request to redistrict on purely partisan grounds with apprehension. When the governor announced his intent to call a special legislative session, he didn't even place redistricting on the legislative agenda. But when the Trump administration reframed its request as a demand to redistrict congressional seats based on their racial makeup, Texas lawmakers immediately jumped on board. On July 7th, Harbert Deland, the head of the Civil Rights Division at the Department of Justice, DOJ, sent a letter, the DOJ letter, to the governor and attorney general of Texas, this is what I read above, making the legally incorrect assertion that 4 congressional districts in Texas were unconstitutional because they were coalition districts, majority non-white districts in which no single racial group constituted a 50% majority. In the letter, DOJ threatened legal action if Texas didn't immediately dismantle and redraw these districts, a threat based entirely on their racial makeup. Remember that John Roberts quote. Notably, the DOJ letter targeted only majority non-white districts. Any mention of majority white districts, which DOJ presumably would have also targeted if its aims were partisan rather than racial, was conspicuously absent. So they could have gone further, but when they start to bring up racial intent, that's like literally the only way that this, like they could have had these exact same lines drawn. But the question is were they drawn with an intent to be racially biased? And the fact that they acted upon this of a racially biased agenda gives up the ghost. 2 days later, citing the DOJ letter, the governor added redistricting to the special session's legislative agenda. In doing so, the governor explicitly directed the legislature to draw a new U.S. House map to resolve DOJ's concerns. In other words, the governor explicitly directed the legislature to redistrict based on race. That's literally the only thing you can't do now with what the Supreme Court has ruled at this point.
Yep.
The legislature adopted those racial objectives. I'm skipping ahead now. The map ultimately passed by the legislature and signed by the governor achieved all but one of the racial objectives that the DOJ demanded. So in other words, they were hoisted by their own petard in this case. The Trump administration, if they had not made it about racial motivations, but instead political motivations, the Supreme Court would have let that slide. Now, we still don't know. The Supreme Court could very well, but in the past, Supreme Court has ruled that states cannot allow race to predominate when drawing lines, but has given them free rein to use political calculations. So if Texas had said, or if the DOJ just shut its mouth and said nothing about it, and Texas has said, we're doing this because we want Republicans to win more, that would have been okay. But because they said, ooh, we don't we're giving too much power away to brown people, they screwed themselves. And this is the thing. It's just, and now it's quite possible that California will still go ahead with their redistricting. And this entire war, Indiana is backing off, I guess, their own push for redistricting.
Right, delaying it.
Maryland may go forward. This entire Republican-initiated redistricting war, where Democrats had to be pushed kicking and screaming into redistricting, may end up netting Democrats another 7, 8 seats. But if the Supreme Court reverses and says it's okay now to racially gerrymander, Texas still may have a problem because, again, we mentioned this in the wake of the last election. The entire, we were told that this election was a realignment. I remember this from when I went into college. The Reagan, the second Reagan election was supposedly a realignment, and it probably was, where you had a bunch of more sort of like racist Democrats shift over to the Republican Party. And the argument was that young people, Latino people, maybe even black people, there was a realignment going on. They were following Donald Trump. All those numbers have reversed. And so the gerrymander was based on those Latino votes in Texas, and it may end up also costing them seats in Texas. So they may be screwed either way now in Texas. Either they lose their gerrymander and Democratic states go ahead with it anyways, or they keep their gerrymander and end up losing more seats than they would have originally.
And just a quick note on that. I'm not sure if you saw that there was the third judge on that panel was a Reagan appointee, and he published this insane opinion in response to it, in which he invoked George Soros no fewer than 17 times. I'm reading from Mark Joseph Stern here. Derided the plaintiff's expert witness as a Soros operative, etc. So just to give people a sense of what the right-wing conservative legal minds actually are bandying about in their heads.
I read that thing, and it honestly reads like a guy who is teetering on the edge of reality. It was like a series of jokes that he put in there that were sort of like,
I mean, it doesn't sound like a legal opinion. It sounds like a blog
No, he started
post.
it off by saying, look, I've got a bunch of jumbled thoughts and I'm just going to dribble this out on the page. And that's exactly what he did. And they're all over the place. And remember, the Reagan era was particularly hostile to black people. I mean, that was really the big thing. You know, Reagan started his campaign, the welfare queen stuff, but he launched his national campaign just outside of Philadelphia, Mississippi, where those at the Neshoba County Fair, just miles from where those 3 civil rights workers were famously killed by the KKK, and cited states' rights as one of the things that he was running his election for.
Those were the folks that were the movie Mississippi Burning was based on, right? Yep.
And of course, John Roberts, who would go on to be Supreme Court Justice and oversee the dismantling of the Voting Rights Act, was trying to dismantle the Voting Rights Act as a lawyer in Ronald Reagan's Department of Justice 30 years earlier. So, but this is where we're at with this. And lastly, as we make this case for incompetence, they and I listen. I don't care about James Comey. The myriad of issues I have with James Comey, going back to his work with this guy, just
only God, no other kings. Let the mighty.
Back during the Bush years, he worked with Ashcroft's DOJ, and they spent a lot of time spying on Muslims.
And do you remember earlier this year, he posted a photo on Instagram of seashells that spelled the numbers 8647.
Yeah, he was a real tough guy.
I got that tattooed on me.
To get attention. Like he's like, oh, it was just a nice numerical sequence that I mean, dude, are you an influencer? Are you 16 years old, or are you like James Comey, a former FBI director?
He both was responsible for Trump's election in many respects. And I mean, just on and on, whatever. That's not the point. We should not be weaponizing the DOJ in the way that we have. They have attempted to indict, and I say attempted because it looked like they had indicted James Comey. They went to a grand jury. Over the course of this week, they could not find, just to be clear, going back a little bit, they could not find any professional prosecutors in the Department of Justice who was willing to bring charges in front of a grand jury to try and get an indictment, because there was so little there. And so Trump's DOJ hires, what's her first name, Halligan? Lindsay Halligan, who apparently was like an insurance lawyer or something to that effect, to prosecute the case. There were 2 issues this week. One was on Wednesday and one was on Friday. One was on Wednesday and one was on Thursday. On Wednesday, she was chastised for 2 things. One, for telling the grand jury stuff that was wrong as a matter of law. Right. So you can have a matter of facts, and, prosecutors always sort of play a little bit with that. And grand jury is very easy to get an indictment out of. But the grand jury would ask questions and she would say, well, we don't have the answers to those, but you'll hear James Comey testify and you'll figure it out during the case. But if you're a defendant, you're not obligated to testify. There's something called the Fifth Amendment. So if there were facts that they felt like needed to be addressed, it is, as a matter of law, incorrect for her to say this. There was 1 or 2 other things that came up. But then in the course of examining this, it became clear that the indictment she filed with the court was actually never voted upon by the grand jury. She couldn't get the original indictment that she wanted. When she found out that they had rejected it, she rejiggered it a little bit and then went to the foreman and 1 or 2 other members of the grand jury, like after hours, like at 7:30 at night, got them to sign off on it, and submitted that to the court. And I don't know, like, I don't think as lay people, we can fully understand how completely bat crap crazy that is.
I mean, it seems deliberately deceptive in a way that should be illegal.
Oh,
I understand that we can talk about their incompetence, but like that is absolutely insane. Basically trying to get around the process by submitting an indictment that was altered but not approved by the grand jury to the court.
Well, it was approved by representatives of the grand jury.
Because like I
talking to their wives in the parking lot.
2 years ago, I was on a grand jury, heard a number of cases. The main thing that they're trying to do is cross all those T's and dot the I's, saying the jury heard this, they were instructed this way and not that way.
Yeah.
Like that is all they're doing in those rooms.
I should say she also argued that the grand jury did not have to decide whether there was even probable cause to indict Comey. This is not the case.
You sure about that?
As a matter of law, because she said the government might have even more evidence that we're going to do a trial. So it's like basically saying like you don't need to have probable cause to indict Comey. You need to have possible probable cause to indict him. Like it's possible there could be more probable cause, and then you can't. So these are like bad jury instructions, that people would normally appeal, but these are basic things for prosecutors. And then Halligan, the judge, had to address another motion. And that other motion was that the Comey's defense was saying that like this is not even a real prosecution. It's being brought about because of bias by the president or the government in this instance. Either one. And that this is specifically a vindictive prosecution. And so the judge, a guy, Nachmanoff, I can't remember exactly. The judge basically asked her, are you a puppet or are you a stalking horse?
Mm-hmm.
And she got incredibly offended, went to the New York Post and said the judge needs to be removed because he's being personally insulting. She did not know, which apparently all prosecutors know in terms of a vindictive prosecution, that those are not quite terms that are state of art, but they are terms that are in the case law about vindictive prosecutions. So there's a test as to whether a prosecution is vindictively prosecuted, and it's literally a defendant claiming vindictive prosecution must show that one, the prosecutor harbored genuine animus toward the defendant or was prevailed upon to bring the charges by another with animus. People follow that, right? Like if I'm a prosecutor and I don't like Brian, I'm going to charge you with jaywalking or something. Or maybe Matt is like, I don't like Brian. Sam, bring charges of jaywalking against Brian. By another with animus such that the prosecutor could be considered a stalking horse, a vehicle to carry out this vindictive stuff, or a puppet to carry out this vindictive stuff. But she didn't know this because she's not familiar with prosecution or any of this stuff. Here is a ABC News report on this.
The case against former FBI Director James Comey may be in jeopardy after prosecutors acknowledged a possible problem with the way it was presented to the grand jury. Under questioning by the judge, Lindsay Halligan, the inexperienced prosecutor President Trump handpicked for the job but who has never tried a criminal case, admitted she never showed the entire grand jury the indictment it was supposed to have approved. The disclosure silenced the shocked courtroom. Comey's lawyer said the charges must be dismissed. Prosecutors downplayed the misstep. President Trump chose Halligan, his former personal lawyer with an insurance background, to replace a career prosecutor he had previously appointed but who refused to charge Comey. Sources told ABC News the initial decision not to charge was included in a memo. When the judge asked about that memo, Halligan's partner said Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche ordered him not to discuss it. Comey pleaded not guilty to making a false statement and obstructing Congress.
I have great confidence in the federal judicial system, and I'm innocent.
Get off Instagram.
So let's have a trial.
His lawyers call the case vindictive, pointing to Trump's social media post demanding prosecution of his political enemies, writing, "We can't delay any longer." If this is not a direction to prosecute, Comey's lawyer argued, I'd really be at a loss to say what is. But prosecute.
I mean, the point being is there's a lot of things that incompetent people can do with malicious intent. But there are some things that they can't do because they're so freaking incompetent. This is like incompetence. I mean, I'm sorry, like the idea that they were going to get away with the grand jury not signing off on the indictment and they were pretending that they were going to is...
It's close enough.
I just think that like you,
it's literally like what a kid would do resubmitting an assignment that they'd submitted for another class. Just
After they
being
clearly
like,
looked at the answers of their neighbor.
It's unbelievable.
It's just, it really is amazing that she thought she was going to get away with this. And do we have more?
This is just a little bit more on her. This is her talking about a museum slavery exhibit.
Oh, this is her.
Now, this is before. This is before. Yeah, this is before she's appointed the job of prosecuting the former FBI chief. Like, this is not a small prosecution. Yeah. You may want to start off small. Like, I got this guy for jaywalking, and his name is Brian. And
it's like your first.
I still feel like I would win.
Right.
Yeah. It's like having a T-ball player go up against Shohei Ohtani for his first at bat.
Exactly. Here she is in full drag, I guess.
Yep, I think the fact that we had our country was involved in slavery is awful. No one thinks otherwise. But what I saw when I was going through the museums personally was an overemphasis on slavery. And I think there should be more of an overemphasis on how far we've come since slavery. Our country is a country of progress, and it's the greatest country in the world. And we should be able to take our kids, our students through the Smithsonian and feel proud when we leave. There's a lot of history to our country, both positive and negative, but we need to keep moving forward. We can't just keep focusing on the negative. All it does is divide us, and we really need to unite
pause
the
it for 1
country.
second. So wait a second. We need to move forward when we look at history.
At the History Museum.
At the History Museum.
Yeah.
It seems so just like caught up in the past.
It's so dated in here.
Why? I mean, why feel unhappy at any museum at all? Right? They should convert the Holocaust Remembrance Museum into like some sort of Disney
like
ride,
trampoline room,
Right,
House
like-
of Air, whatever. We just bounce around.
Right, like a spaceship or something like that. Make it really cool
You know,
and
I
kid
went to the-
friendly.
I went to the Holocaust Museum, and I'm thinking to myself, there's no Seinfeld there.
Yeah.
Like, and nobody's talking about, like,
I know.
What about, like, the Catskills? Like, why can't we go in and, like, see, like, the Catskills and, you know, like, the Seinfeld stuff or the Jews who were involved in some, like, research about stuff? I mean,
all
come
those shoes,
on.
all those shoes that were there to represent all of the people that were killed and exterminated in the Holocaust. Why don't we replace them with like Air Jordans to remind people of how far America has come?
I mean, surely there must have been some Jews involved in getting the whole Air Jordan thing happening. Why don't we emphasize that instead of the whole sad past stuff?
I hate feeling sad. I like to feel happy.
I go to museums to feel joy.
She's making a pretty good argument here, though. This is you get a sense of why she is now one of the top prosecutors in the government.
Love her.
Does is divide us, and we really need to unite the country and focus on all the positive as we approach America's 250th birthday.
Yeah.
That was her application.
I think she'd be great.
Yeah. Go take on the FBI director.
Folks, that's it for us today. Reminder, it's your support that makes the show possible. You can become a member at jointhemajorityreport.com. When you do, you not only get the free show free of commercials, And these days we got a lot of ads because it's, getting near Christmas time. This is like, it's when everybody's dumping their advertising budget, which I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, you don't have to listen to those commercials if you become a member at jointhemajorityreport.com. Also, justcoffee.coop, fair trade coffee, hot chocolate. Use the coupon code majority, get 10% off. They're a co-op. They're in Madison, Wisconsin. The coffee is great. And you can get the Majority Report blend on top of getting a discount for 10% off with the code majority. Check out the AM Quickie 3 times a week, free email in your email box at 9 a.m. With the top news stories from a decidedly left perspective with 2 great writers, Corey Pine and Whitney's killing it over at the Prospect.
Yep.
Whitney Wimbish is. Let me just go. A couple of things that she's just written about, like today. Health insurance costs spike. She's been writing about a bunch of stuff in New York, too. Where's this? Justice Dems pick longtime organizer, take Harlem. She's all over the place there. So check it out. AM Quickie for a couple of bucks a month. You can get the email 5 times a week. Check it out. Also, join our Discord. If you want to get involved in organizing, you want to, and I should say this. Made a call for people who can make whistles on their 3D printers.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like 98% of our audience apparently have large-scale industrial 3D printers because we get so many emails that I was like a deer in the headlights. I'm like, I can't wait. I don't know what we're going to do about this. So we're going to try and maybe, I don't know. In a perfect world, what we'd be able to do is somehow marshal people's ability to make these whistles and get them to rapid response groups all around the country. So we're working on that. But if somebody wants to, I don't know, somebody wants to sort of organize that type of thing, we can provide you with contacts for that. And that would be a great thing to do. I mean, the whistles aren't too expensive, but they very helpful for people around the country because.
Oh yeah.
But we're working on that. It's, we don't have it's not like we got people sitting around the office who were like, hey, what's your job here? I don't know. I'm just, I just come in. So
the whistles were so effective in Chicago. You remember that school that got tear gassed? They were blowing those whistles, and then there was hundreds of people in front of that school in like a moment's notice.
They're very, very effective, and they're also good at just like communicating to other people. Like, there it is. Matt, what's happening? I see what it is. I got just a suggestion. Somebody just sent. You should have someone design an MR whistle STL. That's the 3D file that is printed. Just have your logo inset into the file, then offer the file for free, and people print it. Yes, but then what we got to do is we got to get the whistles to the right place and figure out some type of clearinghouse for them. But we'll work on that. Matt, Left Reckoning in Jacobin today.
This morning, new Jacobin show with Brendan James of the Blowback Podcast. A really great guest to have on to talk about Dick Cheney dying. I wish we had known that Maddow was going to be at the funeral because we would have probably thrown that picture up. And also Robin Wansley, a socialist member from Ward 2 in Minneapolis City Council, talking about forming a socialist caucus so people like Jacob Fry don't get to take credit for the good things that socialists are passing at the municipal level. So 2 great interviews. Check that out and go subscribe to it after we're done with the Majority Report today.
Fun half. We're going to take phone calls, I think. See you in a minute.